I'm so excited to have on the podcast today Sarah Casey Talef and Jenna Hill. Sarah has been involved in education for more than 20 years, working in public schools in New York City, as well as the State Department of Education in Montana. For the last 10 years, she has lived between Montana and New York, creating learning environments. She founded and directs the nonprofit Cottonwood Communities, which operates learning centers in Helena, I guess is how you say it, and Brooklyn. And Jenna is an experienced Montessori educator and co-founder of Casco Learning, a microschool in St. Louis. We had Jenna and Jenna's co-founder, Maria Casco, on the show back in 2022 to talk about her founding journey. And now Jenna is working with Sarah to create Co-Learn Co., which is an interactive virtual campus connecting microschools and organizations within the educational landscape. So we're excited to hear not only about your individual microschool experiences and developing these in-person learning communities, but also really excited to hear about Co-Learn Co. and creating more virtual opportunities for microschoolers and learners to connect. So Sarah and Jenna, welcome to the Liberated Podcast.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so much
so
for having
much.
us.
So happy to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. So Jenna, let's start with you because I had Maria on the podcast a while back talking about creating Casco Learning in St. Louis and doing some really great things there. Tell us sort of an update on what things look like in that microschool at the moment.
Oh, so many updates. Yes, we're in our year 5 of our program, and we started in fall of 2020 with around 12 learners. We have almost 50 learners this fall. So we are very much in a place of growth, but also in a place of what's next. So we found this really sweet spot of having a 5-day micro school program, but also offering hybrid homeschooling for families in the St. Louis area. And we continue to find this need for flexibility in learning and space to learn. So we are at a growth intersection of what do we do next? Do we, find another property that's larger? How do we stay small but still grow? And so we have found ourselves in a really awesome place to be, but thinking through of what's next. So it's been a good start to the fall.
Great. And Sarah, tell us about your entrepreneurial journey creating Cottonwood communities in Montana and New York. I know that those communities focus on sort of agile learning tools and techniques, really valuing self-directed learning. Tell us a little bit about that founder journey.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I'm also eager to celebrate. In preparing for this, I look back and realize that we just finished our 10th year. So I started in my living room with a small group of kids when my son was 5, so kind of the preschool aged kids, and then slowly grew that program. So for 3 years, we operated as a parent cooperative, moving into a church basement in Brooklyn, and grew from there to then founding our 501c3 nonprofit 7 years ago, opening our learning center in Montana, where my husband and I are both originally from, and then finding a permanent home 3 years ago in Brooklyn. So we have 2, permanent homes now, both in Montana and New York. Cottonwood, we created Cottonwood for our own children. We really wanted to create the learning environment we wanted for them, which is based in mixed age, where kids get to learn from each other and with each other, and then also we're experiential and project based. I think those are the 2 pieces that really make Cottonwood unique. Kids are learning from the community around them. They're creating projects that they're interested in, and also social emotional development, independence, as you mentioned. We use some agile tools in supporting kids in their own independence and creating the learning experience that they want to have. And as we say, they're constructing their curriculums based on the project work and the experiences that they cultivate for themselves and that we support them with. Yeah, so we in the last year between our locations, we've served almost 100 kids, 98 through our summer camps, after school programming, our full day programs. So we're really, have a hand in a lot of different pockets of the community and are trying to bring kids into our center to have this experience in self-direction and autonomy. So it's exciting, and Co-Learn Co is our next adventure as we're really working to try to expand the, connect kids and expand what we can offer by having a virtual campus. We can serve kids across the globe. So that's our intention, to build and sustain community across the globe.
So let's turn to that if we can. How did the two of you meet, and how did you kind of come up with this idea to create Co-Learn Co?
Well, I could start with how we
Yeah.
found each other.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, of course, when we were building Casco, we were doing a lot of research of like, what's out there? Why does it feel like we have to be boxed one way or another, or this model or that model? Why can't we just prepare a space for children to learn and meet their needs? It's very simple, right? But we started to do research and find all these different self-directed learning models. And I found this school in Montana, and I opened up the website. It said, learning happens everywhere. And I was like, that's what we say. We say learning happens everywhere. And then I started to dig around on the website, and I go to the board of directors of Cottonwood on their website, and I'm reading some bios, and I read Louisa, one of our families. It was on Sarah's board of directors, and we called Louisa, and we're like, Louisa, who's Sarah? And she runs this Cottonwood school in Montana. She's like, oh, that's my good friend. And so I was like, can you get us in touch with Sarah? And immediately we connected, and Maria and I, my partner, flew out to Montana where we got to meet in person. And from there, just a friendship just blossomed immediately. We had so many years of feeling a little bit isolated in St. Louis and not knowing that there's big things happening in education, but just not enough peers or networks to talk about some of the work we're doing. As soon as we found Sarah, it was like, we have so much to share and so much to offer. How can we be smarter about what we're doing? How can we share facilitators? How can we share resources? How can we support each other? And then Sarah was like, I've got an idea. And
Yeah.
Sarah can maybe share now about Co-Learn Co.
Yeah. And Jenna,
Yeah,
I think it sounds like we're hearing that lovely, joyful learning space at Casco where you are. I wonder if you can maybe mute your microphone while Sarah talks about her experience with this idea for Co-Learn Co.
Got it.
Yeah, so our relationship was, quickly connected. It was wonderful to have this feeling of peers and of support as we work together. And, I actually first created the virtual campus to connect our educators and students in Montana and New York. And I had that going for 1 year, and we just weren't using it very much. We were using it as a staff to connect, but we found it difficult to manage the schedules, and it wasn't working the way we had anticipated in connecting our two learning communities. And so that's when I realized, well, the issue is that we just need to bring in even more people. It has to be a bigger community. And here we had connected with Jenna and Maria at Casco, and that's when it was like, oh, ding, ding, ding. Now let's use that virtual space and expand it. And, some of the things as a micro school founder that are really hard, it's difficult to be a small community. When kids hit a certain age, they want a larger expanded peer network. And my own son left Cottonwood because he wanted a bigger peer group. And, we have a class of 18 to 20 kids a school of 18 to 20 kids in our full day program. And that was too small for him. So I was looking at how to address that issue of a larger peer network, and also how to better use our resources. I mean, I have an amazing staff, but we're tiny. Jenna had an amazing staff, and we got to co-train together that summer, but they're quite small. And so how do we, share our expertise? And so that's when we decided in the fall of 2023, last fall, to come together and do some classwork in the virtual space. So one of Jenna's educators joined one of my educators. We did a unit study, and we're doing that again this year. It's kind of, I would say, the foundational piece of our online platform at this time, where the kids look at a topic and they study that same question around that topic one day from a humanities perspective and the next day from a science perspective. And so we're able to share educators, bring the kids together in that community. And so we just doubled the peer group of our young people. Just some statistics: when we started in the fall of last fall, we had 15 kids between our two campuses meeting twice a week. By spring, we had 45 kids participating from 4 learning environments, 5 classes per week, including, and we welcomed homeschoolers who were not associated directly with either one of our centers. And we really see that as an opportunity as well. We'd love to invite more homeschooling kids from across the country to join our campus, because we are filling that need of community. I mean, kids in all learning environments want more community. And I think we've really been able to do that through Co-Learn Co, which is exciting.
So, Sarah, tell us a little bit more about this platform, right? This isn't just people meeting over Zoom from different microschools, although that's super cool too. This is much more intentional around cross microschool collaboration, sharing educators across microschools, reaching larger communities. And you do that with much more than just what we would think of as like a Zoom or a web meeting. Tell us about this actual platform, this virtual campus. How did you create this, and what does it look like?
Awesome. Well, we worked with Kath Fraze at 100 Roads Design, and her team helped us build the space we wanted to have. It was modeled, our buildings were modeled after our physical locations. So I think that's really important, and something that makes our virtual community unique is that it's first and foremost rooted in our physical spaces. And so being able to carry some of those design elements into the platform is really exciting as well. But it is, the kids have avatars. Every person is represented in the virtual space as an avatar. So you are physically moving through the space. When you get close to someone, for example, when Jenna and I walk our avatars near each other, a chat bubble opens up. So just like these Zoom windows, that then opens. So when we give kids, both of our communities believe deeply in play and learning through play. So when we give kids that opportunity to just go have free time in the virtual world, when they pass by, those chat bubbles open up. So when we leave, rather than sending kids out into Zoom rooms for a smaller discussion, you literally can say, oh, hey, let's go meet in the playground, or let's go meet by the stage, and a group of kids can chat. It also has the ability, like Zoom, but to have shared documentation. So kids can be working together in real time on a whiteboard together. Jenna, what you chime into, what other unique, make this space unique?
For us, for our community, what I loved so much about Co-Learn Co too was a nice little like introduction to the tech world as well. So for many of our learners, that's an opportunity during the week that they can log on, they can practice having a conversation with a friend through a camera, they can practice working on a shared document together, they can meet other adults that live in different states. So that piece was always really a great, like, we just felt like there's so much value in just having that experience in the world that we live in. And so we really enjoyed watching them learn how to log on, how to use their passwords, how to make sure that their headphones, make sure everything's ready. And then to have it be such a safe place that it becomes familiar each time you log on. It like feels a little bit like home. Right now I'm just looking at boxes, but when I log on to our Co-Learn Co space, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the garden for a little bit, or oh look, there's a fun pumpkin now here for the Halloween season. And so it feels familiar, which is makes it feel like a safe place for our kids. And
So
I'll go
great.
back.
Yeah. So Sarah, I'd love to hear a little bit more from you, because I think you made an observation that's important, and that is that, microschools and their, various iterations are micro. They're small, which is incredible for close community building with small groups of people and close interactions with educators and personalized learning and tailoring curriculum to each individual child's needs and interests. But the downside is that some students want a larger community. And that's historically what traditional schools have offered, and is a challenge for microschools. And I love how you're tackling this with Co-Learn Co to build this larger community. Do you already see maybe signs that this could retain students in microschools, that this kind of larger national community of microschoolers could help to provide that larger community that so many, especially older teens, might want?
Yes, yes. I'm so excited to be able to say yes. I had one learner in particular who is on a bit of an island. He was going to enter eighth grade. He was our only learner in entering eighth grade. And last fall, he wrote the letter of recommendation when we applied for the VELA grant for this project. We were lucky enough to receive a VELA Next Steps grant to support this work. And he identified in that letter that he was thinking about moving on because he really wanted a larger peer network. And I'm thrilled to say he's still with us. I had another learner who was planning to only be at Cottonwood through elementary school and then would move on for middle school because, again, that socialization was important to his family. He has re-enrolled. So speaking for us, the retention of the kids in that tween-teen age range, we are seeing the difference. And it's also attracting families. When families see that not only have we created this national community for them, but that we're also planning in real life travel as well, where they're they're going to have the opportunity to meet in real time. The crew from Costco in St. Louis comes to Brooklyn, New York next week, and we'll be having an experience. We'll be going to a Broadway play and to the Natural History Museum. So we're getting to take our learning and put it in real life. In the spring and March, we go to the Nature Bridge campus in Olympic National Park in Washington. So anyway, you can tell we're really excited about it. But it is attracting kids. So when kids see this opportunity, they realize that it is more than just a small school environment. We're giving them national or international community and connection opportunities on top of that. So and I think the other piece that's really important is that sharing of educators. This platform gives us the opportunity to much more easily connect with educators who have expertise that we may not. And so now my amazing educator, Mitch in Montana, the kids in Brooklyn and in St. Louis and the homeschool community who joins us are able to benefit every week from his incredible, teaching style. So it's really exciting.
It is so great that you're planning these in-person travel experiences too, which I can imagine will really form stronger bonds among these microschoolers and homeschoolers across the country. And it reminded me, Jenna, of one of Casco Learning's, kind of key priorities, which is travel and kind of these immersive experiences. So this seems like a natural fit for your families, the families you're serving. How are they responding to the New York trip and to these kind of future in-person gatherings?
Sure. I think the in-person meetups has always been like, that was what we kind of latched on to. We're like, how do we help? How do we help learners move and go places. That's always been at the very, very beginning. Let's help people be mobile and move as much as possible. And our families, every year, I'm so surprised that we have so many families that are interested in traveling with us internationally, interested in traveling with young children, interested in sending their children with us to New York City. Each year, it's kind of like, okay, we're going to introduce this trip. How are you all feeling about this? And sure enough, everyone's like, yes, we cannot wait for our learner to have this opportunity to go meet the friends that they've been working with for an entire year through classes. It's like modern day pen pals. They know each other, they work with each other, and now they get to go and meet the learners in their space and in their school and in their city. Like, how cool is that? And to have in the future, like, possible more than one option for meetups a year, that some learners might go to this trip or they might do this trip. So having that mobility piece has always been a focus for us as a school community, as a learning community, and the families love it. They're going for it, which is really exciting to see.
It really is exciting. So I wonder, how are you connecting with other microschools, or how do you want to connect with other microschools to kind of join this virtual community? What is the next step in terms of scaling?
Yeah, great question. Well, each of our individual school mottos was learning happens everywhere. Co-Learn Co's is learning happens everywhere. Learning happens together. So this is an invitation from us to everyone who's listening to this podcast. If you want to see what our platform looks like, if you think that this sounds interesting and you want your young people to be a part of it, whether you're a homeschooling family or a micro school leader, don't be intimidated and think that you don't have time, or there's it would take too much. Just go to colearnco.org, fill out the contact us form, let us connect and show you the platform, and let's go from there. I think connecting with other micro school leaders has been hard, and we understand. We are so busy too, but this really has made our jobs easier and what we're providing to our young people more expansive. And it's only going to be as great as those who continue to join in this work, because the more micro schools that join us, the larger the community for our young people. And we just really want to see this network grow. So we've at this point, worked on individual outreach with different learning centers. But we're really hoping that this podcast will help, that there are many of you out there listening and hearing this and feeling inspired, or at least curious, and that you'll connect with us so we can show you what we're up to. The VELA Next Steps grant has given us the opportunity to build this and to try to scale it. But we need more kids and community members. So this is your invitation.
Yeah, it's so great. I hope the listeners and viewers will take you up on that offer. Are you reaching out to primarily micro schools and learning communities that have tweens and teens, or is it sort of all ages? What does that look like?
At this point, we've reached out specifically to those with tweens and teens, in that's where the heart of our programming is right now. But we have, as I mentioned, we have 5 classes that we held in the spring. We'll be hosting those again. Those include a book club for kids in the, I believe, 7 to 9, at least for us, our youngest are 7, who are participating. And so we're starting to create pathways for even our young learners to come in and experience and try this community. So I would say anybody who hears this and is inspired, connect with us. We could serve any age on the platform. We've hosted parent classes. We did a joint parent class between our 2 communities, a parent book club. So really the opportunities are only limited by our imaginations.
Oh, great. So what does the future hold? It sounds like you've already experienced tremendous growth in terms of users on the platform in just 1 year since sort of your soft launch last fall. What are your predictions and hopes for the future?
I think our predictions and hopes would be that we have another, I mean, I would like to see 200 kids using the platform at the end of this next year. I think that would be amazing. You know, right now we'll have a cohort of about 20. And so, you know, if we had 5 more cohorts, that would be amazing. And we are looking at opportunities to apply for additional funding. I do think that being leaders of microschools, we realized that we could only do it if we were working together and supporting each other. But even with that, it's another full-time job. You know, we have created a whole nother business. And so in that context, I do think we need to look at growth in the idea of other funding structures so that we can hire a team to really bring this to market, you could say.
And it sounds like that you're a nonprofit now, but maybe would move more towards an ed tech for-profit structure. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, Cottonwood is a nonprofit, and Costco is a for-profit, and Co-Learn Co is right now just a creation of our minds, and so we don't have a formal structure beyond that right now. We're just partnering as individual schools. But yes, I think that could be a way forward for this.
Right. And Jenna, what do you think? What are your kind of predictions and hopes for the future of Co-Learn Co?
I always, what I love about Co-Learn Co, when I think about the future of it, I think that it could replace something at like an out school that just has random classes, random teachers, random class. I should backtrack that. We have homeschoolers that we serve that take classes online, but they never have the same learners in those classes, and they're always with different teachers. And I want this space to be where you know the educators, and you might take more than one class with them, and then you see the same people, and so there is more of this community that's happening in this virtual space. So I would love it to kind of feel like a more familiar, more like a more in-person feeling, but in a virtual world. So sometimes I think of it like a Peloton of education, or you're revisiting the same people, and that makes it a little bit different than what some of the homeschoolers are facing out there in online classes.
So Sarah and Jenna, if listeners and viewers want to learn more about Co-Learn Co, see a demo of your virtual campus, which is really neat, what is the best way for them to do that?
Check out our website, colearnco.org. And additionally, you could email either of us, Sarah, SARA, @colearnco.org, or Jenna @colearnco.org. Reach out to us, and we'd love to show you what it is that we've created and invite you to play with us.
Well, I look forward to following your progress, seeing all of this growth and more learners served, and crucially, and creating opportunities for more tweens and teens to have that connection to larger community while retaining the small, personalized learning experience that they have in these microschools and similar models. So really excited to see where Co-Learn Co goes. And Sarah and Jenna, thank you so much for being on the LiberatED podcast.
Thank you, Kerry.
Thank you. It's been
thank you so much.
Wonderful to speak with you.